Hi everyone and welcome back to another Mums and Murder. I know we're a little late on this video. This is our last couple who kills, the last in our February section, and then we're going to delve right into March, and that's going to be all about mums, because Mother's Day is in March, so I thought why not. I hope everybody has had an absolutely amazing couple of weeks. We had colds and coughs and sneezes and work and whatever, but I hope everybody else had a great time, and it is the season for colds and things, so, and I have 4 children, so somebody's always sick somewhere along the line, including myself this time around. I also had a very bad dose of the cold, but we're all over it now, we're all getting there, and so time to get this video done and dusted and out. So let's just get stuck right into it, because we are so far behind on it, and I just want to get stuck in and get moving on to the Mums March. Also, I'd like to say that watch out for the new Facebook page that I shall hopefully be launching quite soon. It's just a wee spot where I'm going to keep all the videos. Maybe it's somewhere else that I can put a few other things that I like and enjoy, and that maybe you would like to enjoy. For example, I think last weekend or last week there was the fake trial on Channel 4. I don't know if any of you watched it, but I just loved it. It was so good, and the fact it was based on a real case, and I'm like chomping at the bit to start going and researching who that was as well. I would just, be nice to share those sorts of things, and maybe be able to have a bit more of a connection. So yeah, I'm just so excited. It's going to be very different. And of course, I still have the YouTube channel where I'll do the videos, and but yeah, keep a wee eye out, give it a like, give this video a like, and on YouTube as well. There's also a TikTok page for little videos and when new videos come out and things like that. But yeah, I kind of hope you all enjoy it. I'm kind of enjoying it. It's crazy, but yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it a little bit. I just enjoy doing the videos and putting them out there. So this is my way of doing that and my thing, and that was why really it started. So yeah, so anyway, let's never mind all that, let's just get into today's video, and it is about David and Catherine Burney, and they are from Australia. They're actually from Perth in Australia. Catherine, she was born on the 23rd of May in 1951, and David, he was born on the 16th of February in 1951 also. Two quite different backgrounds. Catherine had a bit of a hard start in life. At about 10 months old, her mum died during childbirth, giving birth to her baby brother, and a couple of days after that, her baby brother actually died. Her dad didn't really know how to bring up a 10-month-old. He'd also just lost his wife and his other child, so he sent her off to live with his parents, who it is said they were quite strict, but she had a very structured and normal upbringing. And at 10 years of age, then her father came back and was like, nope, I want my daughter back, and he fought for full custody and won. And so Catherine then went off to live with her father at 10. David, his upbringing very slightly different. His parents, well, they were there, but it wasn't like a family environment. They didn't sit down and have dinner together. In fact, it's rumoured his parents never really bothered about dinner, never really bothered about him, which is quite sad, in fact. But at about 15 then, David, he left school and he got a job as a jockey. Now, it said that while he was a jockey, he abused the horses. He was just a bad lad in general, from all aspects. There was a little old lady who would have cooked all like the jockeys and things. She would have made them all their dinner, and they all went. Everybody knew her. They just went to her house and she just made everybody dinner. This is so lovely. But David decided that this little old lady was going to be his first target of abuse, and he took it upon himself one night to break into her house and abuse her. and she obviously knew who he was, but he was fired from his job because of that incident. But that was really all that happened to him kind of at that point. There was nothing, he didn't really get into much trouble for it, like proper law trouble. So he got fired from that job. But that is a little snapshot of their backgrounds and the two type of people that they started off life as. So Catherine and David, they met at around 12 years of age, and they started having a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship in and around 14. Now, David, just being David, don't think he kind of dragged her along. I think she probably willingly moved with his moves. But I don't know if she'd have done them on her own. Essentially, down the line, I feel like, yeah, this is probably the type of person she was going to turn out to be anyway. But at this point, I would have been a bit more like, But they would have done a few, I suppose, what people would call minor things, but they're not really minor things. But they would have robbed people and places, and they actually eventually they got caught, and David, he went to jail, and Catherine got parole, which for Catherine's dad, not that it was a relief that his daughter got into bother and that she was robbing places, but he did not like David one bit. He just didn't like him. But they were completely obsessed with each other. They always managed to find a way to be in each other's lives. It's just craziness. So David, he went to jail. Catherine, she got parole, and this forced break between them was one of the best things that could have ever happened to Catherine, in my opinion, considering what happens later on down the line and the reason that we're here. She got parole, and her parole officer helped her find a job, and she got a job with the McLaughlin family. They were a quite well renowned family of her town, and she got one as a housekeeper and a bit of a nanny. And so she was there, she was doing housekeeping, she was looking after children, and she fell in love with, I don't know if she fell in love with him, but she got pregnant by the son. All legal, everybody was of legal age. I know it sounds strange, but everybody was of legal age, and she got pregnant by their son, whose name was, I think, Donald. I think it was Donald. But so they were pregnant, and everybody was all over the moon, and everybody was happy. And this, for Catherine, was like her first taste of a proper family. You know, there was siblings, and there was a mom and a dad, and everybody had like dinner together, and they did family things together. And she was very much, even as their employee before any pregnancies or marriage or anything, she was very much taken in and involved in that part of their life, which is great. So anyway, they get married, and they get married actually on her 21st birthday. She gives birth to a little boy. And they had like 7 children in total by the end of it all. However, very, very tragically, when their firstborn son was, I think, around 6 months old, Catherine had brought some friends over, and they all had a lovely time, and her wee baby with her. And she went outside to say goodbye to her friends, and she put the baby down. Now the baby was 6 months, the baby could move. Friends waving by. They start reversing out. They reversed over the baby. I cannot. What, in that moment, you must have been thinking, like, you're standing right there, right in that spot, and your baby was right there, and now gone. The poor baby lost its life. Oh, I'm sure she was heartbroken. I am absolutely sure she was heartbroken. But she did. She went on to have another 6 children with Donald, and she had lost all complete contact with David whatsoever, and her life was flourishing. Obviously, the death of her firstborn always would have plagued her, and grief. You would be grief stricken till the day you die, really. But life was generally just ticking along, David also in this time frame had been in jail, but he had got out and he had moved on his separate ways, and he got married himself and had a daughter. He had one child, but that just didn't work out. He one day decided to bring home a 16-year-old. Yep. Now, bear in mind, David was well within his 20s at this point. Brought home a 16-year-old and basically told his wife, she's going to be living with us. She is my girlfriend and you just have to deal with it. And his wife was like, hell to the no. I don't think so. And she took their daughter and she left, and rightly so. So that is how their lives were going without each other. Catherine seemed to flourish really well. David just seemed to be David and just has the most disgusting outlook on life. Trouble was coming for Catherine though. And I say trouble, but hard times were coming for Catherine. Her husband Donald actually got a severe back injury, and this caused him to be unable to work anymore. So this caused severe financial difficulties for the family. They lost their home. He lost his job. He couldn't work. So this caused them to have to move, and they were financially worse off. So Catherine started to be resentful of her life rather than enjoy it for what it is. And one day, Donald went as normal to drop her at her work, and he dropped her off at the work in the morning, came to pick her up one evening, and she just disappeared. Gone. In fact, she didn't even go to work that day. She just left. David, on the other hand, he was falling more and more down this very destructive rabbit hole. He had become addicted to pornography and sex, and I can't pronounce this word, so excuse me while I try. A paraphiliac, having a social, excuse me. Paraphiliac, having a sexual interest in anything other than a consenting human partner. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that word very wrong, but I'm pretty sure also you get the point of what that is. I don't really want to go into that any further, but that's what he was. So Catherine had got in contact with David at some point before she disappeared, and they decided that that's what they were going to do. So Catherine, she went to David then. That's where she disappeared to. And she just totally left. She didn't try to reach out to her children. She didn't try to reach out to her husband. They literally just didn't know where she was. She just vanished. Nobody knew where she had gone. She just vanished. She just didn't go to work, and she just didn't come home. She just got it. Thanks for the lift, love. See you later. No, nobody seen her later except David. David seen her later. She decided also that she was taking on his surname, so they were never actually legally married. So the Bernie thing, she was still McLaughlin because she was legally married to Donald at this point. So, but she decided that no, it didn't matter, and she was using his surname anyway. But that's where they got to, and this is where they decided then their life of crime was really going to take off. And I'll give you a good warning now. It's quite horrific. It's quite repetitive. But they do get caught in the end. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. Because I don't like unsolved crimes. They drive me demented. So, the first victim was a 22-year-old psychology student called Mary Nelson. And David, he met her at a spare parts store that he was working in, I think, at that point. And she had come in for part-worn tires. She was a student. She needed the cheap stuff, but she needed it legal. So she had come in, and he was like, "Oh, I have tires. Come back to my house. I'll fit them for you. It'll not cost you anything. So poor Mary, she was thinking, great, money saving, I'm a student, this is going to work out for me so well. So she got his address and went the next day round to his house, and both Catherine and David opened the door at the same time. Just, there has to be wee bells in your head going, this is not right, this is not right, this is not right. But it didn't. And they were basically like, come inside. Come inside. And that's in she was brought. So poor Mary, she gets dragged in. They tie her to the bed, they gag her, and David proceeds to rape Mary. While he's raping Mary, Catherine is just sitting there watching and rooting him on. So he finishes doing what he's doing, decides that actually, you know what, we need to get rid of her car because people are going to report her missing and they're going to see the car sitting in our driveway. David, I don't know if this idea was crazy or genius, but he took her car and he hid it in a police station. So I don't know if that's crazy and insane or if he's actually quite smart, because the police are going to be out looking for that car before they look in their own car parks. So that's what he did. He hid the car. And then he went back to the house. He raped Mary one more time. And he decided that, you know, I need to get rid of her now. But we're not going to do it on our house. We'll not kill her here. Can't kill her here. It's too messy. They took her out to a forest park. And David, he raped her one more time. And then stabbed her to death, and they buried her in a shallow grave. And that was the story of poor Mary. Their next victim was 16-year-old Susanna. And Susanna was hitchhiking along the road and seeing the car, probably thinking, there's a woman in it, I'm going to be safe, let's get going. She got jumped into the car and they brought her straight to the house. Same thing as they did to Mary, gagged her, raped her, and this continued for a few days. During the time of having Susanna, they forced Susanna to write letters to her parents telling them that she was okay, that she had just decided to go off with some friends and not to worry about her. The next day after taking her, they forced her to phone her parents and tell them again that she was okay and not to worry, and they had her warned. They held her at knife point. Don't make any silly mistakes here, you know. But they got her to write lots of letters, and this bought them time. You know, her parents thought that she was away off somewhere and they could keep abusing her as they had done with Mary, only for longer. Now, there was only like 10 days between Mary and Susanna, so that thrill, that need didn't remain filled for very long. So once they got really bored of her, really, is what happened. David gave her a whole bunch of sleeping pills and told her she had to take them. Then he asked Catherine, how much do you love me? Are you willing to prove to me how much you love me? Catherine's like, oh my God, I love you loads. And he was like, prove it. She's like, okay, what do you want? What do you want from me? What do you want me to do? Strangle her. She got a rope and she strangled poor Susanna to death. And they took her back out to the same forest park and buried her beside Mary in another shallow grave. And that was poor Susanna. And she was 16. 16. She was a child. An absolute child. So that was Susanna's story. Their next victim was Noylene. Now, Catherine and David came upon Noeline standing at the roadside where her car had run out of petrol or diesel, and they decided to pick her up because they had come up with a code word at this point, that if Catherine liked a woman and she wanted to essentially murder them, she would tell David, well, I've got the munchies. And this is their code word, and they would snatch that woman up and do what they love to do. So Noeline was standing at the roadside. She was so pleased to see them because Noeline, she recognised them. They actually were neighbours. They lived on the same street. So she was so pleased to see them, dangerous, standing out by car. And here's two neighbours who pull up. Brilliant. Unfortunately for Noeline, no, was not good at all. Took her straight back to the house and raped her. Now, Noeline took David's fancy. He took a shine to Noeline, like a huge shine. He really liked her. She was 31, so a lot older than the other two victims. She had been taking care of herself, as ladies do. She was a lot more of an experienced woman, which David liked. She could probably hold a conversation better with him. So he held on to Noeline for quite a little while longer. However, Catherine, she did not like this at all. She was jealous. She was not happy. And she watched this for a while. And I think because Noeline was like trying to flirt her way out of this situation, I think, the thought process was nearly like, well, I'll keep him on my side, and then, hopefully he will not murder me. However, Catherine was like, I don't like this. This is not happening. She's seen everything that was happening. She's seen how much David was really falling for her, and she did not like this one bit. So Catherine gave him an ultimatum. You have to kill her. She has got to go, or I go. Her or me, you choose. And of course he picked Catherine. And so again, poor Noeline, she was killed. Sleeping pills again, and again she was buried. However, she was buried in the same forest park, but she was not buried near the other two girls. She had her own special grave because David did still have that very soft little spot for Noeline. So, but Catherine, that was a troubled one. That was a troubled one. But poor Noeline, she really, I reckon David probably would have kept her about if Catherine had not of gave out such an ultimatum. So that moves us on to our fourth and final victim. I beg your pardon, this is our fourth victim, but she's definitely not the final victim. This was Denise Brown. She was 21 and they picked her up from a bus stop. Same thing again. Took her home, gagged her, raped her, and then went on to murder her. They took her out to a plantation. David raped her again, then stabbed her. However, Denise sat up in her grave, and so David took an axe and whacked her over the head with it twice, and that was Denise. She was deceased after that. But there's a pattern to their murders. It's get them, kidnap them, gag them, chain them, rape them, murder them. There was only two exceptions to this. One was Noeline, and the next, who is our final victim, and our saviour of the whole ordeal, is Kate Moore. And Kate was 17, and again she accepted a ride from Catherine and David, and they made Kate ring her mother, which she told her she had too much to drink and was staying at a friend's house, hoping her mother would figure out this was not true. She also asked if they were going to kill or rape Kate. Catherine told her they would rape her if she was good. So she had to dance and was handcuffed to David while sleeping in their bed. But Catherine liked Kate. So Kate got to stay around for a little while. Kate also would leave. So Catherine liked Kate. Yes, Catherine unfortunately got abused, which heartbreaking. Kate was very, very smart. She would leave little clues lying not out in the open, but like tucked in places, like little letters and stuff, in case anything ever happened to her, that there was evidence that she had been in this house. Very smart indeed. But Catherine liked Kate. And through the day, when David went to work, Catherine would let Kate wander around the house. She wasn't tied up, she wasn't handcuffed, she was allowed to wander around the house. Obviously, she wasn't allowed to leave, but she was allowed to be around the house. And they would have chatted, they became quite friendly. And they hit it off really well. And I think Kate just tried to stay in Catherine's good books. And all seemed to be going very well for Catherine at this point. So one day David had left, he'd went to work, and Catherine then unchained Kate, and they were out chatting, and the next thing there was a knock at the door, and Catherine was like, "Get in there, hide, don't open your mouth, don't say a word, or trouble will be had." So Kate went into her room, closed the door. Catherine opened the door, was talking away, and while she was busy at the door with whoever was there, Kate had found a window that she could open. Kate opened the window and she ran. She just ran. Now, Kate was in her underwear. She didn't care. She did not care. She just ran. She ran to the local grocery store where she managed to tell her story to the manager in the grocery store. They got the police out. She managed to tell the police the whole story, and that is how the whole case unravelled. Catherine had left the house at some point. The police had pulled up to the house. Obviously, Kate was able to say, "I left this here, I left that there. The sleeping pills they tried to give me, they're on the floor under the bed because I didn't swallow them." All the little clues that she had left, she was able to tell the police. The police found the little clues, so they knew that she was telling the truth. When they went to search the house, nobody was in, but then Catherine came walking round. And she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah." But they got in and they searched the house anyway, and that was it. Everything was just blown, and they got caught. And well done, Kate. Super smart, super brave for a 17-year-old girl who had went through everything that she had just went through. And so pleased, so pleased. So they were both charged with 4 counts of murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, sexual assault, and deprivation of liberty. In February 1987, both Catherine and David pled guilty to all of these charges. They both got life sentences. While in prison, they exchanged over 2,000 letters. Catherine actually wanted to get married to David while they were in prison, but that didn't happen. David was like, "I can't live without Catherine. This is so hard." Yet 20 years later, he committed suicide. I mean, he managed to live without her for 20 years. I don't think that was the reason at all, if I'm honest. Catherine is still alive, still in prison. She's in her 70s. She's actually a librarian in the prison. She is not getting out anytime soon, as far as I'm aware. And David, he got the easy way out and didn't have to pay for his crimes, which is quite sad for everybody. But that is the story of Catherine and David Birnie. I know it was quick to get through, but I just wanted to get through it. Tell me what your thoughts are. This is a crazy story. They went from having such different lives. Catherine especially went from having such a structured married, children, job, to boom, great crime breaker, assaulting other women and helping her partner assault other women. It was like, the connection between the two of them, they just seemed to migrate back together. It's just so crazy. What are your thoughts? Let me know. It's a crazy one. It's horrendous. The things they did with those women were absolutely horrendous, but how brave was Kate at the end? She managed to unlock that window without Catherine even hearing what was going on, and shoot out there half naked, tell your story. People probably thinking, who is this woman? She is standing in the grocery store in her underwear, bare feet, rabbiting on about this house. People probably thought she was crazy, but she did it. She caught them, and they got charged, with all of the murders and all of their rapes, and so they should have. But just for Catherine to go from having, like, she had 7 children, 6 still alive and needing their mother, and eventually, of course, I think she told Donald where she was, or that there was something about that, but she never had a relationship with her children. David never had a relationship with his child, not that he should have, and he should have been charged with a lot more than he was. But yeah, such a wild case is Catherine and David Birnie. So I am so excited that we're now into March and we're into a whole new little theme that I've got going for Mother's Day. I am hoping to bring some good ones, some that have been actually in the media and stuff quite recently. They're old cases, but they have been sort of brought back into the media, so I'm hoping to bring them in to you, and I hope that you enjoy them. I enjoyed them. That case was just like a last minute one that I had found. Like, I found it ages ago, and I had like done it all up and written it all out and stuff, and it just I had never heard of this one before either. But it's quite well known in places, but I had never heard of it, and now we all have, and now we know. So thank you again for sticking it out with me, and look out for that new Facebook page if I ever pluck up the courage to actually do it, which I hopefully will. Give it a wee like and a share, and hopefully other people will like it too. And I will see you very soon in our next video, which will be about mothers. Now, I'm not telling you if it's mother killers or people who have killed their mothers, or it could be a combination of both. Enjoy what is left of your week and your weekend, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.